Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're stepping onto the pitch to explore the history of cricket.
It's a fascinating journey.
Absolutely. We've had requests asking, how did this bat and ball game go from, well, probably humble beginnings to this global passion? Let's dig into those origins.
Yeah, it's quite a story piecing it together. The popular idea is it started with kids.
Right, somewhere in southeast England.
In the Weald, exactly, Kent and Sussex. Maybe evolved from something like bowls, but, someone brings in a bat to defend the target.
Interesting visual. But I heard there are other theories, too. Something about Asia.
There's another perspective, yeah. Links to ancient games in the greater Punjab region. It's possible it migrated, maybe like chess did, through Persia.
So it could have deeper, wider roots than just England.
Potentially. It's definitely part of that bigger club ball family. Think baseball, golf, hockey. They're all sort of related.
Okay, so a complex family tree. When do we get something solid, like written down?
The first really clear written proof comes from a court case, 1598 in Guildford.
A court case about cricket.
Well, indirectly. A man named John Derrick, he was testifying about some land and mentioned playing cricket there with school friends way back around 1550.
Wow, 1550. That gives us a pretty concrete starting point, doesn't it?
It really does, an anchor in time.
And how quickly did it move from schoolyards to adult games?
Seems fairly rapid. By 1611, we have the first known mention of adults playing some guys in Sussex, prosecuted for playing on a Sunday instead of going to church.
Ah, the classic Sunday sport issue.
Exactly. But interestingly, a dictionary from that same year, 1611, still defined cricket as a boys' game.
So the adults were maybe just catching on?
It suggests adult adoption was quite recent then, yeah.
And the name itself, cricket. Any definitive source?
It's a bit hazy, actually. Several possibilities. Middle Dutch cricky, meaning a stick. Old English crick for a crutch or staff.
Stick seems logical for a bat.
It does. Or even Old French criquet, meaning a club or stick. Some even link it to a Middle Dutch word for a long, low stool, maybe resembling early wickets. It's unclear.
Okay, so fuzzy origins. But it starts to really take shape in England later on, 17th, 18th centuries.
Definitely. By the mid-1600s, you have village cricket, inter-parish matches becoming common.
Right.
And then, late 17th century, a big step.
Yeah.
The first county teams start forming, even employing professional players.
Professionals already. So we have records of early big matches.
We do. The earliest known proper county match is Kent versus Surrey at Dartford in 1709.
Okay.
But even before that, 1697, there was a match in Sussex played for 50 guineas.
50 guineas. That sounds like serious money back then.
It was a very significant stake, shows the game was already attracting attention and, well, gambling. Patronage grew too, wealthy figures forming teams around 1725, like the Duke of Richmond.
Right. Patronage and gambling often went hand in hand in sports history. So more structure leads to needing rules.
Precisely. The first written laws of cricket show up in 1744.
Ah, the first rule book.
And then a really key revision in 1774. That's when we get things like LBW leg before wicket.
A crucial rule.
And the third stump, the middle stump, was added, making bowling more effective. Plus, a limit on how wide the bat could be.
4¼ inches, right? Still
Yeah.
the rule today.
That's the one. And then, of course, the MCC Marylebone Cricket Club is founded in 1787 at Lord's.
The guardians of the laws.
They quickly became the authority, published their revised laws in 1788, and really standardized things.
And the gear, the equipment, that changed quite a bit too.
Massively. Early bats looked more like hockey sticks, long, heavy, curved, suited the old underarm bowling style.
Right, rolling or skimming the ball along the ground.
Exactly. But then around the 1760s, bowlers started pitching the ball up.
Which needed a different kind of bat.
Led directly to the straight bat we recognize today. The ball evolved too, leather-covered, weight standardized in 1774, and the wicket went from maybe a tree stump or a gate to needing that third stump in the 1770s.
And the pitch length, 22 yards.
That was standardized surprisingly early, back in 1706.
Okay, so the game is codified in England. How does it go global? The British Empire must be the story here.
Absolutely central. During the 18th and 19th centuries, cricket traveled with the empire.
Where did it land first, outside Britain?
North America, actually. It was played there in the 17th century, maybe even before it got big in parts of northern England. There's a diary entry from Virginia, 1709.
Wow, earlier than I thought. And other colonies.
The West Indies picked it up from colonists in the 18th century. India via the East India Company sailors around the same time.
Right.
Australia almost immediately after colonization started in 1788. New Zealand and South Africa followed in the early 19th century.
Canada, too, I believe, though less popular now.
Introduced early, yes, but its popularity dipped significantly between about 1860 and 1960, partly due to baseball's rise and cricket being seen as a bit elite.
And the British actively promoted it, didn't they? Not just for fun.
There was definitely an element of using cricket to instill British values, loyalty, discipline, team spirit in the colonies.
The civilizing mission aspect.
Yeah, though ironically, in many places, cricket later became a powerful symbol of national identity and sometimes even resistance against the empire.
A fascinating dynamic. Okay, so the game spreads. When does international competition kick off?
That really starts in the 19th century, and the very first international match wasn't England versus Australia.
Oh, who was it?
It was the USA versus Canada in New York back in 1844.
No way. USA versus Canada. Who won?
Canada won by 23 runs. Some even argue it was the first international sporting event of any kind.
That's a great piece of trivia.
Yeah.
But the big rivalry, England-Australia, that started soon after.
Yes, English teams started touring Australia from 1862. And interestingly, an Australian Aboriginal team toured England in 1868, the first Aussie side to tour overseas.
Really important tour. And then the official tests.
March 1877, England versus Australia in Melbourne. Australia actually won that first test match.
And that rivalry eventually gave us the Ashes.
The Ashes, exactly. Born from that satirical newspaper obituary after Australia beat England at the Oval in London in 1882.
Such an iconic story. And other nations joined the test scene.
South Africa became the third test nation in 1889, so the international structure was beginning to form.
And as the game spread, the way it was played kept evolving too, right? Techniques changed.
Constantly. Batting went from those curved bats, mainly defending, to straight bats allowing drives, cuts, pulls. Much later, you get scoops and reverse sweeps for limited overs.
And bowling, we mentioned underarm.
That evolved dramatically. Underarm gave way to round arm in the 1830s, quite controversial at the time.
I bet.
Then finally, overarm bowling was legalized in 1864. That opened the door for real pace, bounce, swing, spin, the variety we see today.
Fielding, too, I imagine, not just standing around.
Oh, yeah. From just spreading out, it became highly specialized. Slip fielders, gully, point. Boundaries were introduced in the 1870s. Modern limited overs brought fielding restrictions, complex field placements.
The rules just kept adapting.
Always. From 1744, 1774's big changes, banning the wide ball in 1811, sorting out bowling actions, standardizing the ball size, pads and gloves coming in mid-19th century, 6 ball overs in 1900, right up to modern LBW interpretations and DRS.
It's the living rule book. And governing all this international play needed structure, too.
Which led to the Imperial Cricket Conference, the ICC, in 1909, just England, Australia, and South Africa initially.
Imperial Cricket Conference says it all about the era.
It does. Its goal was regulating international matches between those members.
But it obviously grew beyond that.
Oh, yes. West Indies and New Zealand joined in 1926, India in 32, Pakistan 52. Then a big change in 1965, it became the International Cricket Conference, opening the doors to associate members, the non-test nations.
Making it more global.
And eventually promoting some of those nations. Sri Lanka became a full member in 82, Zimbabwe 92, Bangladesh 2000, and more recently Afghanistan and Ireland in 2018.
And the big global tournaments really raised the profile.
The World Cup, definitely. The first one, ODI format, 60 overs back then, was in England in 1975. West Indies won the first 2.
A legendary side.
Absolutely. Then you had the Champions Trophy, and later the T20 World Cup kicking off in 2007, which has been huge. Plus, the ongoing bilateral series like the Ashes remain massive.
It feels like cricket is everywhere now, but some regions are real hotspots.
Undeniably, South Asia is the heartland. India, Pakistan, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh. Huge passion there.
Right.
Still very strong followings in Australia, New Zealand, the UK, Southern Africa, the West Indies. And exciting growth in places like Afghanistan and Ireland.
You mentioned India. That 1983 World Cup win must have been a turning point.
Absolutely massive. It arguably changed the trajectory of the sport in India and globally, given India's influence now. And you can't ignore the impact of the IPL, the Indian Premier League, in the 21st century.
A game changer for sure. We haven't even touched on the legends, the Bradmans, Sobers, Tendulkars.
Oh, the list is incredible. The players who defined eras, pushed the boundaries of batting, bowling, all-round skill, their stories are inseparable from the game's history.
And so many little milestones. like the first recorded women's match back in 1745, or the sheer estimated global fan base today, over 2.5 billion.
It's packed with fascinating details and stats. Longest match ever played, things like that.
So wrapping this up, looking back at this incredible evolution, what's the lasting impression for you?
It's just the adaptability, I think. A game that started, perhaps quite simply in an English field, managed to change, to travel, to embed itself in so many different cultures, and just keep evolving. It's quite remarkable.
A truly global game with a rich, evolving story. Thanks so much for walking us through that history.
My pleasure.
And for everyone listening, here's something to ponder. Cricket spread globally, largely through empire and colonization. How does that complex legacy continue to shape the sport's culture and politics today? Something to think about until our next deep dive.